players. So let's start with that. Yesterday's big news was that Josh Farmer had tweeted out that he was going to take it to the portal. As of the time that we start this show, Josh has not put his name in the portal. That has not happened. We'll see if he does or he does not. I do not know whether or not he will. This is to echo a sentiment I had yesterday in which I said, we don't know about these things. We don't know about these things. It's that some guys, the way that you track this in the past has been if a player comes out, oftentimes they will say that they have put their name in the portal. And sometimes they say they plan to. And sometimes they say, that their recruitment is open and all this other stuff. They're not sure what they're going to do, however they word it. And you parse that and you try to decide, like, how serious is this and what does it mean? It's never good. It's never good if somebody is contemplating their future and that future is not at Florida State and they're a player that is currently at Florida State that you would like to see stay, right? But you also can't make assumptions that things are foregone conclusions either. This is just the way we're going to have to live as fans. It sucks. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes to sit around and think, well, we got this really good player that I think is on the cusp of having a very good season, and I don't know if he's going to play for us or not. And it could be any player. I mean, in truth, in the NIL era, guys that you believe are no threat to walk, are no threat to want to leave Florida State because they've been very successful. Outwardly, they've expressed how happy they've been, all these things, right? And when that happens, then all of a sudden the name comes out. You're like, what? Wait, who? How could that even be? So it's just a tough place to be, which is in limbo if you're a fan. And of course, it leads to any player that says they're contemplating doing something like this. Let's say put their name in the portal. They're thinking about doing it. Well, there are repercussions for that, right? They make you feel a certain way. I'm sure it makes the locker room feel a certain way. I'm sure the coaches feel a certain way. Then you've got extended family. You've got the team that potentially they could be going to and that fan base. We've all been on the right side of this and the wrong side of this, and it's a mess. But it also does one thing, most assuredly, is it leads to other rumors. It always leads to other rumors. Well, if that guy goes, maybe this guy will go. Or maybe if that guy goes, it opens up the door for us to bring in this other guy that I've heard we're interested in. Like, this is how the dominoes fall in the era of the transfer portal in the world of NIL, where we pretend that tampering doesn't happen, but we all know that that's exactly what goes on with every program of merit, of note, of significance. And you understand there are so many spheres of influence that affect these players. And so I thought about it more yesterday as the hours wore on, and I kept waiting to see whether or not Josh Farmer's name would enter the portal, and it didn't. And I got up this morning early, and I saw over a cup of coffee that his name still wasn't in the portal. And I remember yesterday on Seminole headlines saying, we'll see. He feels like a guy that he's very much like a wait-and-see guy. There have been other guys that when we caught wind that they were going to enter the portal, you went, goodbye, he's gone. No chance he's sticking around. No chance he's going to have second thoughts. No chance that this is just an idle threat. This person is leaving. But with Farmer, and there are some other guys on this team, if it were to happen, I'd go, he might leave. He could go. He is likely contemplating. But there's no guarantee he's gone. I'll wait and see until he puts his name in the portal before I freak out. And that's kind of where we are with him. And I think that's where we're going to be until the deadline comes and goes.
I think the thing to consider here, and we're privy to a lot of these conversations or rumors as they come about, is that there is hardly ever evidence, I don't know if there ever has been, that a portal entry was coming in practice by the way a kid goes through his drills, goes through the periods, interacts with the coaches. It's not like Josh Farmer was acting out in practice, and so therefore this is not a surprise. It's just not that way. These are all things that take place once practice is complete and are behind the scenes. And there was a thread on this earlier in the week when it was, kind of rumored. He hadn't gone to Twitter yet, social media, what have you. And my response in the thread was, I don't find merit in a blow-by-blow reporting of all of these rumors because most of them never come to pass.
Mhm.
And most of them never come to the public's light. It's just a kid who is 18, 19, 20 years old, disgruntled for a moment, wonders, is the grass greener? Realizes, whoo, maybe it's not so green. And then the issue's put to rest before the world would even know about it.
Right.
The moment that the kid goes to Twitter, the moment that changes. And
Well,
you've
you
got to
have to,
talk
'cause now
about it. You
that's
got to
public.
report it because he's decided to put
Yeah.
it out there himself. But a lot of these things, like what you're seeing now, if you're really locked in on the Josh Farmer storyline in the chat or on the air, this back and forth, man, this ain't novel to a collective in a big time university around the country. They deal with this every day. This is just one that you've heard about, but they deal with this all the time.
Yeah, they deal with it all the time. It's an unattractive element, I think, of the job. I would hate it. I would hate it. But you know what you're getting into if you're in that game, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. You put out fires incessantly. There are rumors always. There are whispers constantly. Hey, did you hear about this? Well, no, I didn't. Nobody's called me. Nobody has talked about this. Nobody has come to us. No representative has said this. But I can't afford to ignore it. I can't afford to be in a position where, listen, who said it? A guy named Keith on the message boards. All right, well, Keith may or may not be connected. I have no idea. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But what I can't do is act like there's nothing there. I've got to track this down now if I'm part of a collective. If I'm part of a collective,
course, yeah.
I've now got to track this down and find out, is Keith this guy's cousin? Is Keith this guy's best friend? Is Keith, do they live together? Does Keith have some inside information that would be of value to me? Or is Keith just nuts? Is he a troll from another team who got on the boards and thought he'd have fun with it? Is he a guy who said something on a Twitter post that has no merit to speak of? It's the modern era. It's tough to deal with.
Keith is sliced bread, as we all know him. And that's the important thing. I'm glad you revealed that today, that sliced bread's name is actually Keith. This is why I don't like to cover recruiting.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
And it's found its way, this back and forth stuff, to the mainstream team reporting of college. And you got to do it. Like, I get it. It's a function. It's part of, I think, improving the game and calling it what it is and being more transparent about what college football is, which is a business and a huge one. So it's part of the growth process here. But
while you work out the kinks, it's tough, man.
I'm just the guy who can't stand the back and forth like it's the 11th hour before early signing period saying what we're hearing now, 6 hours later, here's what we're hearing.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. I get it. Ira put up a post last night just before midnight doing some digging and saying, hey, this is not a dead issue yet. Farmer could still be coming back. It's just every 6 hours or 8 hours, it's, oh, here's the new update. There is no update.
Yeah.
I just can't stand that stuff.
The part of the problem with it is let's say, and I will give this insight for what it is. Let's say in my position, in this job, right, what I do. All right, so obviously we all cultivate over time a lot of sources. You get sources with your due diligence. You end up knowing players, former players, big-time boosters, administrators, coaches, agents, players. You find out, people connected to people and all. This is what happens over many years, right? Some of whom are invaluable. You understand that their word is as good as gold. Right? They are 100% right when they come to you with something. And those are typically the people that don't come to you with something over nothing. They don't waste your time. And then there are the guys that have about a 20% hit rate. It's not never, but it's about 20% of the time.
They love the fact that they're in 19 group messages.
Right.
And being that guy.
And then there's everybody, Tom, in between. Okay? And you've got to measure and figure what's what. And then you have to decide, are we at a place where this is something that we can talk about candidly? Are we at a place where we can talk about something that has real teeth, that matters, that is worth sharing to our listening audience because it provides something, context, entertainment, whatever it might be, right? Something of note. And that's a fine line in this world of NIL because lots of kids on a random Tuesday might get fed up with their situation at practice. They may hear a rumor from somebody that there's a massive offer just waiting on them out there, at which point they tell somebody close to them, a teammate, a player, maybe even another member of the press. It could happen where they say, Well, I am considering some other options. I like it here, but golly, if there's an opportunity for me to have life-changing money come my family's way, maybe I got to listen to that. Well, now what do you do with that? Because that was Tuesday. But by Tuesday night, after a discussion with the collective, after a discussion with his position coach, after a discussion with the head coach, after a discussion with a player representative or whatever it might be, they may have taken in totality what that offer really means and what it would mean for them to walk. And what do you do? Because a lot of times they're 18 or they're 19. And you know how this plays out. Emotions, the whims of emotion. I describe it all the time with collegiate kids as opposed to professionals. Even then, young professionals still deal with this too. It's tough because you want to let it breathe. You don't want to go with that. You know of it. You know it's real. You know the kid said it. But you also know the kid may not be so sure that he's going to follow through with it. So do we go with it now? Do we start the upheaval that comes with stating this publicly? You're right. What you typically do is you wait until the kid actually says something, which he did on his social media platform. So once he said it, now you got to acknowledge it. It still doesn't mean it's done. It still could have just been a knee-jerk reaction. And you know the difference between one kid and another if you've ever talked with them and you've had relationships and you kind of figure out who they are. Some kids are very easily led astray. Some kids are easily swayed into believing whatever it is that's out there. Others, a little bit more close to the vest, a little bit more contemplative, a little bit more, well, let me take a step back and think on this for a second. That's how it is all throughout the rest of your life. There are people this way in their 50s, 60s, 70s, just as there are in their teens and early 20s. But the more experience you have with it, typically the more you learn after you go through these things, meaning you're the player or the agent or the press member, whatever, to take a moment. All right now it certainly seems this way. Let's see where we're at 24 hours from right now. Hell, you and I have been part of heated conversations with station managers and others and contract talks and things like that, where when we walk out of the room, it doesn't feel good. Kind of feels like the world's falling apart. Like this is never going to work. This guy's an a-hole. I don't want to work for him. I could go somewhere else and do better. What are we doing here? And other times you walk out of the room and you're like, oh, that really went well. And neither turn out to be true. Like the thing you thought went really well, 24 hours is terrible. You're like, what happened? I thought we were set. Other times you're like, that guy's terrible. A week later, you're like, oh, I got dicey for a minute. Let me buy another beer. My goodness, things are going to be all right. You just never know. And it's this way too now in the portal. You see this all the time. Occasionally a kid, look, I'll just say it. Were we shocked when Sam McCall said he was leaving? Come on now. Anybody who'd been out there, we're like, okay, yeah, he's gone. This isn't going well. I mean, he's made it very obvious through body language, words, and every other thing, right? With Farmer, it hasn't been that way. If we're talking specifically about this kid, he's practiced hard. He's put in the work. He's gained 50 plus pounds since he arrived. He's one of the strongest guys on the team. That's indicative of somebody who's bought in. That's indicative of somebody who cares deeply.
He did a charity interview for the golf tournament just, like 10 days ago.
Yeah. That's the part of it that, you kind of, well, this makes it a little bit more difficult. That's why you throw out the caveat, which is he did tweet that. He may leave. He may not. I'm not real sure. I said that yesterday on Headlines. I'm saying it again here for those that didn't catch that. I'm not so certain he's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed. I wouldn't be surprised if he left.
And doesn't that sound like recruiting coverage?
It's the worst because you're in limbo. It leads to you being in limbo. And you're going to get with certain players a lot of drama because people invest emotionally in their teams. And when there's evidence that a player has real potential, you don't want to see that player leave. But the reality for all of us as fans with any player, and we learned the hard lesson with Hunter, and we've learned this, I've said ever since that. I won't trust any of it. I won't trust it. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen or something good occurs in recruiting. You get a yes from a 5-star tight end. Well, that's something to be happy about. I ain't going overboard. That kid's got a long time between the time he said, I want to go to Florida State and the time he signs and arrives, more importantly, at Florida State.
And even if he's here, are we using him enough? These are the conversations that the coaching staff has to have. This is why there's a benefit to taking a player as a transfer versus a high school player, because you at least eliminate one of those paranoias.
Yeah.
You'll have a paranoia about a high school kid all the way until he leaves for the draft or is processed. Like, you're just going to, if he is the kid that you brought in from high school, you're always going to have to check in. Little nudge, like, hey, doing okay?
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yeah.
Are you telling me the truth? Are you good?
It's like when you're deciding whether or not you want to move on forward in this relationship with your significant other. Are they drama bound, or is this just, am I going to deal with this all the time, or is this just a moment? What is going on here?
Why is it that every party we go to doesn't end well? Why does it always end with some kind of argument?
Yeah.
Why can't we just get in the car and go home?
Yeah. So you begin to assess the situation, accordingly. Like, well, that's twice now. I don't know if I'm going to deal with a third or a fourth. Like, we're going to have to figure this out. It's a balancing act, But in this case, look, man, it's when you're trying to preserve a roster and make a run, if you're in a collective, and we know people that are, we're friends with them. That's tough. You got to answer that phone at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You might have to get in the car and travel on a random Tuesday night that you did not anticipate, because that's what the game is.
And it is never ending. And, Josh Farmer could be on a different roster. And it could be dealing with a different collective. And by this point in the calendar year of 2023, it might be the 20th said instance that you've had to deal with, because that's just the nature of the beast between the high school, the portal, and the current roster. Maybe it's your 30th. I don't know. It's just everywhere you look. If it's big time college football, where that secondary market's more valuable because those kids aren't high school players too. It's more proven tape. And also there's no fear of them leaving you in the lurch. This is just ever present.
Yeah, it is. It is an omnipresent aspect of the game that we don't like, that we've grown to now have to deal with as fans, and coaches have to deal with it, and players and collectives all have to deal with it too. Not every player is in the same situation. So when you hear a rumor about one player, do not assume that it's applicable to another. Guys may or may not want to stay or leave. Other guys don't have options. Cannot. They can choose not to play, get ready for the NFL draft. That'd be stupid. Chef Cambridge Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Here's a tip to keep it cool from E&B Heating and Air. Your outdoor unit works better if it's clean and clear of debris. Plants, grass, weeds, and trees can reduce performance, raising your power bill. Visit ENBHeatAndAir.com to get a free quote today.
Trucking accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Tallahassee's favorite family-owned Apple and Mac product stores moved to an all-new location. Mackmore Systems is now located at 230 John Knox Road. Same great people, same great services, same great prices, all at a new location. Mackmore offers computer and Apple device sales, one-on-one consulting, business services, and the most experienced Apple repair team in the city. Learn how to get the most out of your Apple gear. Come by and say hi to the Mackmore Systems team today at their new location, 230 John Knox Road.
Small businesses and everyday Floridians depend on a thriving digital economy. But some Florida politicians are pushing an anti-free market law that will crush our economy and hurt consumers. If passed, their reckless new law would prevent small businesses from reaching local customers online. And it could force Floridians to pay for online tools that are free today. SB 262 and HB 1547 are examples of big government at its worst. Don't let the politicians break the internet for Florida and destroy jobs. Let's protect our small businesses and consumers. Let's keep our digital economy strong, and let's keep the Sunshine State open for business. Contact your state senator and state representative today at flsenate.gov and myfloridahouse.gov. That's flsenate.gov and myfloridahouse.gov. Tell your lawmakers to reject SB 262 and HB 1547. Paid for by the Council for Citizens Against Government Waste.
Hey everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
At Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Every child deserves a chance to live their best life and celebrate every moment. When you support St. Jude, you help give kids with cancer around the world that chance. Together, we can save more lives. Finding cures, saving children. Visit stjude.org.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Just to point it out, because Tom, I figured Jamie knows this, but if she didn't, because she's a busy woman, your wife works really hard and has a lot of responsibility. You know, the Twins did win the season series by beating the Yankees last night.
I know it's the first time since, but go ahead.
Well, for those that don't, it's the first time since 2001.
What?
Sweet Jesus.
My 8th grade year.
I was doing mornings on 1270 The Team. I know that, of course, because I was on the air when 9/11 happened. But I can remember not the Twins beating the Yankees because it seemed irrelevant at the time. But I can remember a lot of 2001. It's imprinted for a lot of reasons. But I didn't realize it had been since.
Oh, yeah. I think they're 0 in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, they don't beat the Yankees ever.
They played them in the division series maybe 4 or 5 times.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just a side note, I thought if she didn't know because she was busy, that you should pass that on. The ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. That streak is over.
Got that nugget over lunch before I left the house today. Hey, guess what? What? 2001? Wasn't that when Marvin Lewis was first taking over the Cincinnati Bengals job that he had for 15 years?
You know what's funny though? We do this all the time. This is why fans have such an invested an emotional attachment and can argue about anything, right? Because there's evidence that even the most knowledgeable, seasoned veteran coaches or GMs in any sport can butcher this worse than your grandmother randomly selected teams based on the color of their uniforms. Like, if you watched, so I'm thinking about the draft tomorrow and how we're all invested for our team, and we're in a nice position of luxury, could literally draft anybody. I'd be like, oh, we need him. So that's nice, right? Defensive tackle, we need him. Offensive tackle, we need him.
That's a piece to the puzzle right there.
Yeah, wide receiver, need him. Quarterback, need him. Safety, need him. Linebacker, need him. Yeah, we would be like, okay, that's good. Not everybody feels that way. When you're close, when you've been knocking on the door or you're trying to hold on to something. Now you're a piece or two away, and the debate is this guy or this guy, and it gets heated. It's fun.
When you were Green Bay for about 5 drafts in a row there, you're just not taking receivers out of spite,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Well, so anyhow, we see coaches, even smart coaches, screw things up all the time. We see GMs screw things up all the time. We see players screw things up all the time. And we think, how's it even possible? How could you get to a place where you're in that, exalted position of power and you don't know what you're doing? And you can first guess it. And sometimes you are right enough to keep you doing it over and over again. So I'm watching the Celtics last night. Here's a good example. I'm watching the Celtics last night. I may or may not have a bet to have them close out that series against the sorry-ass Hawks. It's over. The Hawks have zero chance to win that series. All right. The Celtics are up 13 with 6 to play. It is over. In Boston, it's over. Except it's not. Because for whatever reason, Boston does not blitz Trey or double him to get the ball out of his hands. The Hawks have nobody else. It's just Trey Young. His usage rate is like 40%. He's a ball hog. He'll shoot 50 times to score 36 points. That's who he is. He's the worst. He's the worst. I would punch his face if I was his teammate. He's the worst.
Better than the Celtics.
So you watch this play out, and you're going, get the ball out of his hand. Just get the ball out of his hand. Make one of the other bums on that Hawks team beat you. Any of them. Any of the other bums. And they don't. They never do. And he beats them. And it's funny because he is capable of that. Like all shooters, occasionally they get hot at the wrong time because you let them keep shooting that shot. And I thought, this is unimaginable. That guy's a professional. These guys have aspirations of going to the finals. Milwaukee's down 3-1. It's a red carpet to the finals in the East, you dumbasses. Anyhow.
Sounds like you're a Celtics fan again, beyond the wager.
No, I don't care anything about the Hawks, and Trey Young is the worst to watch play basketball. And so I can't, I'm sitting there.
See, this generation's Harden?
He's difficult, man.
He won a game by himself in the fourth, so maybe not.
That's true.
Maybe he's in a different place.
Oh, he's done that before. He is the kind of shooter that he can go crazy, especially if you just let him keep shooting. He can't.
Was it just a win? Was on the line here? Was it a number? Was it Celtics -6?
No. It was just a win to close it out. It was just a win. It was a money line bet.
Ouch.
But just get it out of his hands. And if you think about it from a basketball perspective, if you're Boston, Embiid is hurt. You would have started the Sixers series this weekend. That big dummy might not have even played. You had it made.
Coach, do you think if you had something on the money line tonight, you might have approached it differently?
You're up 3-1. You're up 3-1 at home in the Garden with 13 points. You had 13-point lead with 6 minutes to play. What are you doing?
I think you should have thrown in an extra one. In the Garden, one of the most historic venues in all of basketball.
You know who's mad? Janet Jackson fans are mad. She was booked to play on Thursday in Atlanta. Now they got a bumper.
Oh, really?
Yes. Janet Jackson fans are like, are you kidding me? The Hawks have zero chance to do anything in the playoffs. We all know this. What are we doing?
Are we sure they're playing on Thursday?
Yes.
It's the NBA playoffs.
So
they might play Game 6 next week.
Do we just forfeit the game? I know it's in Atlanta and we can force a Game 7 here and all of that, but we know the Hawks aren't winning this series. Can we just let Janet Jackson perform on Thursday? We're just wasting time out here, folks. That's true, though. It is.
Maybe they could tip it off at 4.
She was supposed to play the State Farm Arena there. It's now double booked. Even the Hawks didn't think they were going to win. Yeah. Janet, that time of year, we won't be in the playoffs. Don't worry about it.
That's really bad. You know who also didn't think that the Hawks were going to be in it?
The Hawks.
The NBA and the television networks, because they know the schedules for these venues well before they set the series.
Yeah, it made me laugh. When I saw that this morning, I was like, really?
The NBA, ESPN, and Turner are saying, no chance. We're fine on that Thursday. No big deal.
So really quickly back to the situation with Farmer and the NIL and transfer portal and all that. I guess that was a very long-winded way for me. Sorry, I'm beating up my microphone now. long-winded way for me to say that, this isn't over yet. Hang in there. And let's hold our breath that things work out. You don't have many more days now.
I'd also just offer, to folks, you can check out emotionally on these things. We got it. We got you covered. Warchant has you covered. The website, the TV function. Anytime there's breaking news, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that stuff. Will alert you. But if you want to, spare yourself the roller coaster ride and just take the news as it comes, I think that's the right way to go about these things. Because as we discussed in the opening segment, when you're privy to all of the rumors, it becomes exhausting. And just take it from somebody who's heard lots of them, just hang in there and maybe detach from like the life or death feeling you have, because this isn't going to be the only situation of its kind that comes to the public.
In the future, there's going to be a moment. It may not be this year. It may be next year, the year after, the year after. We don't know what's coming down the pike in terms of regulation and how NIL is going to work, and it's going to be in-house or what it's going to be. But if it were to stay in some way similar to as it is now, you can rest assured a high-profile elite player that is more than a rotational piece, but instead a starter who is an all-ACC caliber player is going to get picked off. It's it's already happened to other schools in this conference. We know that. Yeah. But that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a morning where you wake up and go, you've got to be kidding me.
I can't believe we'll have another Biletnikoff winner to go next to Larry Fitzgerald. Well, I can't believe it either, because he's going to USC.
Yeah, he's gone. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff with this being the setup. In the draft, which is tomorrow, we always talk about this. You can think a quarterback like Will Levis is garbage. You might think. I don't see it. Saw plenty of Kentucky games. Don't know what the hell they're looking at. But it doesn't matter, because every team in the first round might think that way except for one. And if that one is drafting second, third, fourth, what, then there it is. That's all that has to happen.
I could only choose one.
So, and we've now learned too with quarterbacks, you go back a long way, and you see with these hit rates, I mean, it's 50% if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. And then sometimes you have to chloroform your owner, like the Cowboys did with Jerry Jones when they took Zach Martin instead of Johnny Manziel.
Good move. Good move.
The draft war room story was that they basically had to force him to stand down.
Yeah, as they should have. My man, Johnny Manziel's a bum. Stop it. You're like a little girl on social media platforms. Leave the room. You're killing me.
Keep pouring Jerry's drinks heavy.
Let us do our job. I want him sedated by noon.
That's right. Go get it, Linda.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, that would be tough. And imagine if you're a scout. Like, that's a hard job, man. That is a really hard job. You travel incessantly. There's a lot of pressure on you. And a lot of the scouts are doing that job on their way to something else within the organization, like the paydays down the road. Now, there are scouts who make a lot of money, but usually they have two titles. They're a scout and there's something else. But if you're a scout on the road incessantly, the guys we run into at campus all the time. I remember talking to the Dolphins scout that was here to look at Trey McKitty when he was here, and I talked to him about who he was there to look for. Those guys are cool, by the way. They're fun to talk to every now and then, pick their brain. I asked him who he was there to see. He was wearing his Dolphin shirt, has a little clipboard and everything else. He was like, that guy. He pointed to Trey McKitty. I still hate that we didn't get anything out of Trey McKitty.
No, and not that Georgia did much with him either.
He's in the league.
He is.
Yep.
And in the
Playing
offense, it's hard to ask him to buy in again, with another new coaching staff. But in the offense that he could have been in for a year.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I know. But he pointed to Trey McKitty, and I said, well, yeah, certainly the body type. I mean, who looks like that? He's like, mm-hmm. And then he was just going through and checking off whatever it is. But then that guy has to go somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else. And it's just constant, right? Now, imagine you do all that work. You do all that they've asked you to do. You're never home to see your wife. You're traveling incessantly. And you get in the room with the other scouts and you've compared notes with all those guys. They had the West. You had the South. They had the other guy, Jerry over here had the Northeast. And all of you were like, okay, given our needs, given the mandate of this team, given what we already have in place, and you guys have a meeting of the minds. Highest graded player we have on the board for round one. And collectively you come together and you're like, you know what? Defensive end, Arkansas, I've got him as a top 10 pick. Me too. Okay. Well,
Jerry Smith.
Yeah, that's the pick. All right. Then you go into your owner. I think he's going to be there at 9. I think we're going to be all right. I think we got to go defensive end here, Coach. You know, sir, it's been a big point of emphasis for us. We haven't had a pass rush in 3 years. This is a guy who's dynamic, grades out on all of our boards, top 10. I'm thinking I like that midget quarterback from Texas A&M. Okay. Certainly he's flashy. Not very talented. But he won the Heisman.
That was a great answer to de-escalate the owner. Can I just circle back? This is why the PR firm is unparalleled. Certainly he is flashy.
He's flashy.
That's a great way to placate while telling somebody he's an idiot.
Yeah, he's flashy. Well, he won the Heisman. Yeah, well, lots of guys won the Heisman in college football that had no chance to play in the pros. So, that's not everything. That offense certainly suited him. In the league, if you lack athleticism, height, and arm strength, it's a problem for that position. So he's 5'10" with an average arm and not nearly as mobile as he was in college against lesser teams. So I don't really know what it is he does that will help us improve. Can we talk about the other quarterbacks? I mean, if we're helping on quarterback, can we look at some of the other guys? So that's got to be brutal, that moment where you've done all of that work. And an owner's just like, no, I like Doug Flutie. Okay. All right.
Think of all the money we can make on cereal.
Doug Flutie, huh? This is going to be a toughie. Watching that play out tomorrow night never gets old. It is the gift of the male soap opera that we all love. It's hilarious.
Jerry Jones and the Raiders. And then there's usually a rotation of about 3 or 4 other franchises. But the constant has been the Raiders and Jerry Jones.
Oh, Wispy, when he was alive, was fantastic. Wispy, he was going to draft a big and fast wide receiver. No matter what, you could go to Wispy and be like, he played in 7 college games. And 3 of them were good. I'll give you those 3. But they were against nickels, as well as, and then you go through and you name the teams that he had the good games against. Also, I would say that, he played at Maryland. It was like he starred at Ohio State. He's fast.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. He was going to draft a really fast receiver no matter what. You're like, well, we've gone receiver 6 years in a row. Speed's not the issue we got here. Got some problems elsewhere. Loved it. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Seminole County Sheriff's Office is warning residents of a drug trafficking scam. In a Facebook post, the Sheriff's Office said they have received reports that someone pretending to work for their office is calling people and saying they have been involved in drug trafficking. The Sheriff's Office advises anyone that receives that phone call to avoid providing the caller with any information and to contact their office immediately. To contact Seminole County Sheriff's Office, call 229-524-5115. Hundreds of drag queens and allies from across the state gathered in the capital city Tuesday to protest legislation they say aims to silence drag performances. The bill passed in the Florida House last week and now awaits Governor Ron DeSantis' signature to become law. Bans children from attending adult live performances. It does not specifically mention drag shows, but opponents say the legislation is vaguely worded and intended to silence drag performances. Republicans say the legislation named protection of children is about keeping kids safe. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Highs around 86. Winds out of the east 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows level off around 63. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 84. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 80.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Take that for what it's worth. I'm not saying you have to be like, he did, but he did. And had, I think last week he had the quarterback room number 9 in the country. The room.
Okay.
But had the defense in terms of future defensive power ranking. I think 18th. No, I don't think I know. 18th. I put it here in my notes. We were not inside the top 25 last year in the same ranking. Turned out to be accurate.
It's interesting to me. So the quarterback room is 9. The only way you could know what a quarterback room ranking would be, or the only way you could do it, is to go straight to recruiting rankings for the backups.
He cites it.
There's no other way to do it.
You can do it also in games started from backups. If you've had a backup that's been there 3 years and started, you had a sample size of 4 games or something, you can say, well, this person's had to play, and here's how they played when they did. But yeah, he cites it. He says, look, Duffy was this ranking. This is their top. They had a top 300 kid commit this year. And he was talking about Duffy, and he was talking about what Tate was at the time that he committed, and then where they're at now with Brock as well. He obviously cites that the main reason for a ranking in the top 10 for that room is one Jordan Travis, who made this remarkable leap forward.
Who is top 5 in most every single metric, simple or advanced, when you're talking about efficiency of any returning quarterback in the country.
Yeah. He's gonna be a guy that puts up huge numbers this year. I don't think there's any way around that, short of some things that are unforeseen right now, either due to injury, knock on wood, no, or the portal or something weird.
Or you can run for 300 yards a week and it's blowout city, and so he doesn't get to amass numbers.
That actually is the more likely hill for him to be able to climb, to get over and have a shot at the Heisman. Like, what are the 2 or 3 things that would prohibit a guy like him, who took the step that he did a year ago, to put up the numbers he did a year ago, and to come back with even more in his arsenal, both in terms of what he does as a passer, what they can do as an offensive line, what they can do at wide receiver, tight end. They finally got him somebody at the position. So the only thing that would prohibit him from really being a candidate, besides the fact that there is a guy who's already won it and starting at USC, is the fact that I think the vast majority of this schedule points to Florida State running the football for excessive numbers and emasculating defenses throughout the ACC.
And how much do you want to do that with him?
You don't want to do it with him.
How much does he want to do that?
Well, they proved it last year. They don't want to do it with him. They don't have to. Why would you? There are games, and we call them out before the big ones. Going to need Jordan here. He's going to have to do everything in this one.
Didn't think we needed for Florida, but we did. And he answered the bell. He wasn't timid.
Yeah, and there are games where you just say this has to be a Jordan game. He's special. They don't have an answer for him. You know, they're going to score on our defense. We're going to need everything we have in the arsenal this Saturday. You know, but there are only a handful of those, not even a handful of those games. There are 3 maybe of those games this upcoming year. Obviously LSU, obviously Clemson, and then there will likely be another candidate. There'll be another team that maybe we're not talking about right now. Maybe on the road to Pitt. Who knows?
That's one of the things I've been reflecting on since spring camp is over. And it's that the familiarity, the advantage sways to the defense so heavily when you're gonna be what you are on offense, and you've got a core set of principles. You're not going to break the bank with Jordan's legs because he's non-contact, and you already know that he can do that. I just wonder what this offense is going to look like and how much more consistently lethal will it be, even against good defenses, when they don't know what's coming. And you can scheme to do that, to surprise consistently and to maybe break tendencies. It's hard to value that or assign a value to that in spring just because you do what you do as your base.
Yeah.
And so the defense starts to cheat in some of those situations. It's also a limiting factor, I think, on assessing just how good the defense is. When you're playing each other every day, that there are some things that just become advantageous.
Everybody who's ever been part of a long practice regimen and gone through back in the day, we used to go through 2-a-days, and you've done 2-a-days, and then you roll into the fall and prepare for the season. If you're a junior and you've been playing a lot since you got brought up, I mean, you're jumping stuff, you're cheating, you're sliding inside, even though you would never do that against something you didn't know. You know, I mean, it happens all the time. So that is 100% correct. It makes it more difficult to assess just how good or bad a player's been in spring.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say that was really reassuring was I thought the trench battles were legitimately good and competitive because of good play.
Well, you can't.
Not because of a dearth of talent at a certain part.
And that's a place where it's harder to cheat. I don't care what you're running. At some point, football is football, and you have to beat the guy across from you. And that's even true in zone. So I mean, you that happens.
Well, when they're going 11 on 11, yes, I agree with you. But there are times where they have drills called like the run game drill. What do you think is going to be coming here? I'm going to attack a play in that manner. Defensive end, I would think that's more important for than somebody in the interior. But this is a much better offensive line. I think we all agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, the defensive line did a great job of resetting the line of scrimmage and coming up with wins in short yardage situations. It wasn't just in the spring game. It was in that race to 10 drill that we saw Doak Campbell the week before. The defensive line set the tone.
Well, dominated. They were great.
I don't think that's because the offensive line sucks.
No,
my point.
What I will say, and we'll see what happens. This name got brought up earlier. But let me just say this. If Darryl Jackson cares to try hard and focus this season, this is his money year. This is it. I need you to lock it in for 7 months. I don't care that you don't like college necessarily and you're transferring every which way to Sunday. This is it. You're out of transfers. You got to care because nobody can block you. Nobody. You'll be a first-round pick. Nobody can block him when he cares. When he efforts in practice, they don't block him. They don't. He's too big, too strong. He is, I think, in truth, when trying his hardest, the best defensive tackle we have, and I don't think it's close, and we have Fabian Lovett. So we'll see if he does. If he does, this defense can be dominant. You're right, it's not because of our offensive line. It's because dudes like that are a real problem. We'll see. You just got to hold your breath and make it through these off-season days and hope like hell you're in good shape.
I just look forward to seeing it. And, you could see how the receivers, I think we're deeper than the spring game would indicate. Just another quick observation. We're deeper at receiver than the spring game would indicate because when you go into those 7-on-7s and those individual drills, we've got some guys who will make a defensive back look silly now and generate big plays. And they do so consistently. This is why Vandrevius Jacobs has most of us in the media going, man, this could be earlier than expected in arrival because he would do things against corners that you've heard of if you follow this roster that simply a early enrollee freshmen shouldn't do. So I think we're going to be okay there. But it's just when you see this offense and Coach Norvell gets to scheme it for LSU, there's going to be a really talented dude wide open once a quarter. I mean, there just has to be. There's too much balance on the field, even with some of the
I think the
concerns
tight
that we
ends
have.
provide that is what it is, too.
Yeah,
Jaheim Bell, obviously, we've talked about Morlock as well. It may take him a little bit longer to get up to speed, given that he's coming from shorter. But he showed enough in practice to say that he should be okay pretty quickly.
He belongs athletically speaking.
He does, and he's got we've talked a lot about he's bigger than I thought he was when he got here. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think, that LSU game, I don't know how impactful he's going to be. Jaheim Bell will be.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any
So
reason.
will Mark Easton. You got to put him out there.
Who I love. Yeah. You're right. There's a lot of balance. There's less
razzle-dazzle.
Game-breaking, players on this roster than in some others that are elite, but there's probably more balance than most others. So I think we're in good shape.
Pick your poison. Somebody's open.
Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Thank you for calling the Medicare Help Desk. How can we help you?
Can you help me choose the right coverage for myself and my wife?
We sure can. We can help you choose from Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or standalone prescription drug plans from over 30 different insurance carriers.
How much does it cost? We have a fixed income and can't afford extra expenses.
At the Medicare Help Desk, the consultation is completely free. We are here to help.
Thank you, Medicare Help Desk.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. In my 17 years of experience, I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk, a place for you to get clear answers to all your questions and make sense of all the confusion. I've helped thousands of clients, and I live right here in Tallahassee with my family. I am active in my church and wish to help and serve my community. If you need help navigating the Medicare landscape, I'm easy to find. Just visit the MedicareHelpDesk.com. That's the MedicareHelpDesk.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
The NFL draft kicks off tomorrow in Kansas City. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the 24th pick. The position of the player they selected, number 24, cornerback, is the favorite at plus 120.
Trae Young with a game-winning 30-footer with 1.8 seconds remaining. And the Hawks beat the Celtics 119-117 as a 14-point underdog at the TD Garden to remain alive. And that Eastern Conference first-round series, Game 6 Thursday, Boston laying 5.5 at Atlanta. The Braves today, $1.60 home favorite against the Miami Marlins. The Rays, $1.34 home favorite against the Houston Astros. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Mornings were made for better things than rheumatoid arthritis or RA. Xeljanz tofacitinib is a pill for adults with moderate to severe RA when tumor necrosis factor blockers did not work well or could not be tolerated. Xeljanz can help relieve joint pain, swelling, and help stop further joint damage. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections. Don't start if you have one. Before and during treatment, your doctor should check for infections like TB and do blood tests. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, cancers including lymphoma and lung, blood clots, serious heart-related events, tears in the stomach or intestines, and allergic reactions have happened. People 50 and older with heart disease risk factors have an increased risk of death. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis B or C, have flu-like symptoms, are prone to infections, or have ever had a heart attack, stroke, clot, or other heart problems, or swelling of lips, tongue, throat, or hives. Ask your doctor about prescription Xeljanz. Visit Xeljanz.com or call 1-844-XELJANZ.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a Hometown Hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all Hometown Heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. If you have a pain in the neck, bring them to Finn Chiropractic because neck pain, low back pain, headaches, numbness, and tingling can make your significant other or family member very irritable.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. We developed the Phenomenal Health Exam to get to the cause of your problem. You can schedule your appointment at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
Whether the pain is in your neck or someone else's, come to Finn Chiropractic.
Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your first time in a long time, we will resume the draft party next year. A couple reasons for that. Don't need to bore you with everything. Everything's fine, but we're just not doing one this year. I want to watch the draft while I watch the Lightning get taken out of the playoffs, and so there we go. That's how that's going.
There you go. Speak it into being, buddy. Reverse that psychology.
There you go. No, we had a lot of stuff going on, and one thing that has changed, the NFL draft was almost singular, it seemed like, for a long time, like hyper-focused thing for us, but because the portal didn't exist. Like, we never had these things in yesteryear where you had to worry about, this window at the exact same time where serious things could be happening within your program. And we have to be certainly ready to go with videos and writing and content anytime something breaks, and you just don't know when that's going to be. Admittedly, I hate it. I hate that aspect of it, but it's the reality for all college football fans, and we work in college football. We work in sports media, so you just got to be ready for it, and that's fine. I don't know what's coming down the pike. I said yesterday, though, and I'll say it again here as we addressed earlier in the show, that I'm still waiting. Josh Farmer has not put his name in the portal, and let's hope he doesn't. Had announced yesterday via Twitter that he intended to, but he did not. So let's just wait and see what happens from here. Now, that isn't to say, Tom, that there won't be others. May or may not be. And that kind of limbo is no fun.
Oh, God. Others? No.
It's always going to be the potential for others. And I don't even know who to predict. I said that if I had to guess when we started spring football, and I called it the spring of hurt feelings, that there was considerable depth, in a lot of places, and that might lead some folks in those areas where the depth is something we're happy about and excited for. You might lose a guy there. I thought receiver would be one, maybe. Running back certainly could be one. We talked about that a lot. Offensive line, we thought, would definitely be one. We've already seen that. And I didn't mean people of significance, just somebody on the depth chart that's way down the list and doesn't have really a path to playing anytime soon. They may be encouraged even to take it to Tulsa or wherever they were going to go. So that can happen. And then I thought, I don't know about the other positions, but we could rank them in the order with which he thought they would be most affected by people putting their name in the portal, and most of it would start with, well, how many viable candidates do you have to play there and play well? Well, here we got 5. You need 3. That's how that ends up working out.
3 more on the way from high school.
Yeah, so I think at the end of this upcoming season, one of the quarterbacks certainly will be gone, and we've talked about that before too.
Yeah, I think by spring's end next year. It could go all the way to spring for a battle. I mean, it did with Clint Trickett 10 years ago.
In the NFL draft tomorrow, so there's a lot of bets. You can do prop bets, all these different bets about when people go, right? But I was sitting there looking at the different books and deciding, what I thought was a safe bet and what wasn't. And Jalen Carter seems to be the one that you can have the most fun with because of the controversy off the field with Jalen Carter, but the freak that he is on the field. And if you think that he's going to fall outside the top 5, it's because you believe that Seattle will not take him at 5. Instead, they go a different route. They could go Anthony Richardson. People have talked about that as well. But when you read the articles and you read why the books have the odds where they are, man, and again, you never really know. It just takes one team. But, man, between seeing his name alongside these descriptors to go along with the other problems, quote, horrible practice habits, wasn't liked by teammates, legal issues, character questions. I'm like, all right, that's a lot because if you draft him in the top 5, you got to pay him $30 million.
Quote, Kirby Smart. So that's an unnamed.
Well, this is, I took the time to go through because I wanted to educate myself before I placed the bet.
This is good. I appreciate your sharing all of this intel.
So when you go and you do that, you're going to you'll accrue several articles from several different sites written by several different people. Some who are not connected to the other, right? And there's not another guy in the draft who's of this kind of talent. There's guys that have fallen out or whatever, maybe left a school early and never went to another school and now training and they had character issues, guys that have been accused. But nobody of this high profile who's described as consistently awful as Jalen Carter. I mean, he is described as it's suffice to say, it seems like a lot of people recognize that Jalen Carter is an absolute freak of nature, a can't-miss guy in terms of his physical tools. Everybody will tell you that that is accurate, that when he's playing hard, there's not a lot you can do with him. We saw it. We saw it, right? He's a freak. They would also tell you that they weren't sad to see him leave Georgia, that his practice habits were awful, and then we already know about the legal stuff.
So here's the most important question. The prop is simply picks 1 through 5 and 5 or later?
Yeah.
And what's the number on 5 or later? Plus what?
I got to pull it back up. Tomorrow on the show, we'll do it. For the I'm going to
I
have that
see.
ready.
You want to get the wager in before the numbers are moved? I see. Okay. Got to respect that.
We'll do it. But there's more. I guess my point is, I thought he would listen for a long, long time. I described the NFL, rightfully so, as a league of mercenaries. It really didn't matter what you did in college in terms of breaking the law. The question was, are you going to prison? No. Do you run a 4.2? Yes. Got it. Tyreek Hill, come on down, baby. And that's how it played out for a lot of guys. We knew that. Did you punch your pregnant girlfriend in the face? Yes. Are you fast? Very. Okay.
Tyreek Hill,
come on down. So you could do, did you break your son's arm? You did? Did you threaten to kill her? You did? Are you fast? I am. Come on down, Tyreek Hill. Yeah. But a lot of guys under that moniker, and you're like, well, okay, it's not going to matter. But I don't know, man. It seems it's not the same with all teams, and every GM will be different. Every coach, there's a power struggle that happens. I do know in a draft where supposedly the people who do this for a living, the ones tasked with the responsibility of putting together 47 mock drafts with trades, you know, all your outlets, whether it be CBS, ESPN, Fox, whatever it is, right? All these different guys, NFL.com. They've got a lot of guys who I respect quite a bit, right? Guys who, former players, GMs, people who have covered teams in particular for 20, 25 years, developed good relationships. They do have a lot of guys on the NFL Network, NFL.com, and others. Podcasts galore that we know about, where the intel you trust. You know that they're speaking directly to a GM, but they also all guard against getting played. So they all get played on the regular around this time of year. Big time.
Which is also a bookmark for later, part of the NIL discussion. And why would you report on stuff? But yes. So they are saying what about this draft?
It's remarkably thin. It's not. So all teams do NFL draft grades for players. Those grades, depending on where you rank under that umbrella, are applicable to first round, second round, third round. That doesn't mean that's where you're going to go. You know this. But for people who don't know, you might have a second round grade, meaning you're an 87 out of 100. You're not a first round guy, according to the Denver Broncos, or an 84 out of 100. That's a mid-second round, early third kind of grade for this player at this position. But there's a dearth of that position of available talent guys, and we really need a guy at this position. We're going to grab the best one here, even though his grade suggests he's second round. We're going to take him with the 25th pick in the first round. That happens all the time. And there are drafts where there's an abundance of talent at one particular position, just the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes there's 9 offensive tackles that could go in the first round. There's 12 defensive ends that people have a first-round grade for. Well, they're not all going to go in the first round. Somebody's going to fall to the second. Other times, guys, you know, we see get picked earlier than they ever would if there was just a normal amount, an average amount of talent at that particular position, right? So I saw something where on NFL.com, in fact, they noted that there were only 15 first-round grades for players in this draft.
Across all positions?
15.
Oh, my.
Think about that. That would be why they describe this draft as thin. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, listen, they get it wrong all the time. We know that, too. We know that, too.
But it would suggest if there's consensus among GMs, it's going to be very tough to trade back down because who wants to trade up? Usually you need a partner. You need a dance partner who has to have a certain player. But it sounds like if there's only, call it 20. Let's say there's 20.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a ton of trade backs in this draft, especially as you get to the latter half of the night on Thursday.
Well, and think about this, too. It's kind of fun. I do think that you can see a lot of action within that top 10 because whatever you think about the quarterbacks is going to affect the decisions you make about picking up that phone. And to the point about quarterback, how we've now gotten to a place where even those of us who are most certain of our ability to assess a player in college at that position, the most high-profile position in the sport, well, we now know because we've all, if you've done it long enough, you've been wrong enough times to know, boy, I whiffed on this badly. I also got this really right. But it feels like about the NFL's average, which is, between 46 and 52%, which is not a very good percentage when you're taking a quarterback. You would love a higher percentage of bang for your buck on that pick. And they get it wrong all the time. 28 quarterbacks have been graded higher, pre-draft grades. 28 quarterbacks have been graded higher than Patrick Mahomes over the last 10 years. 28. 22 quarterbacks have been graded higher than Josh Allen was.
I believe that. But that means that Josh Allen was graded higher than Mahomes?
Maybe.
You said 22?
Yeah. 22.
Folks, what are we doing here?
20 were graded higher than Justin Herbert. You and I had doubts about Justin. We turned out to be wrong about that.
Justin.
Yeah.
That was because Justin said, I don't know if I can do this, man. I mean, basically, he's what quote unquote.
Well, I go back to this, though, Tom. Here's the thing about it. We missed that right. As soon as Justin Herbert uttered the words he wasn't sure he could do it, I went, well, I'm done with you. I'm a little nervous about the guy isn't sure he can play.
These top 10 picks need to be spent on people who believe that they can be stars. Until Justin Herbert.
You'd at least like to see that a guy has immense amounts of confidence, almost to the point where it's obnoxious.
Right. He's subdued. He doesn't like to lead by being the loudest voice in the room. He doesn't believe in his abilities as much as some of these other guys. Yeah. Ouch.
I mean, it's really pretty crazy to ever have a guy say, I'm not sure I can lead at the most important position on the field.
But you know what? It makes sense now because his coaches were Willie and Mario Cristobal. So now it makes a ton of sense as to why they barely won as many games as they did.
But you know why Patrick Mahomes got overlooked. It was the system where he was. Everybody put up astronomical numbers, so nobody believed it.
Except for Andy Reid.
Right. I always say it takes one guy to know what he's looking at.
That GM who said, yo, this is our guy. That was the Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky draft.
This is the dude. We're going to get this dude. Yeah. Well, and it worked out for him. But, I mean, there are plenty of examples where really smart guys who've gotten it right a million times got it really, really wrong. That's what you realize about that job. You're always this close to getting fired. One really bad decision to not take a guy and take this other guy at the same position and then watch that career in 3 years, 4 years, go the opposite direction. You're done.
The most fun I've ever had watching a clip of somebody being right, not wrong, because we have those wrong clips, is Merrill Hodge appearing and talking about Johnny Manziel.
Oh, my God. He killed it.
It is uncomfortable.
It's thorough.
How much he denigrates everything there is to do with Johnny Manziel's existence.
Every aspect of it.
But it's all correct.
It's hilarious. He's like, well, I just don't see any evidence that he could play at this level. He's also a terrible human being. And you're like, well, Jesus.
He's on the desk of the old cold pizza. He's on the desk. And they're like, well, you couldn't be more wrong, Merrill. He goes, guys, you can
we'll wait and see.
Speak all you want on it, but
you asked me.
He
I'm here to tell you that kid is a piece of garbage. Jesus. Can't play a lick. Seen high school kids better than this one. You're like, my man.
this is you going rogue, Merrill, because this network right now loves nothing more than pumping Johnny Manziel coverage out there to the masses. And here you are, not getting the memo in the boardroom.
No, he's like, I can't do it, guys. I'm not going to lose my credibility over this bum. I'm just not going to do it.
He's probably drunk right now.
28 quarterbacks higher grade than Patrick Mahomes last 10 years, 22 Josh Allen, 20 Justin Herbert. I go back to this all the time, and I wonder, and we'll never know. We'll never know, and it will be the source of great debate for as long as we care deeply about the draft and football and the process of evaluation. And that is this. Is it much more about starting your career in a place where you have the right coach, the right program, the right staff, the right team? Because there are countless guys that go places who had all of the physical tools. They're, everything that you use to measure these guys, physical and otherwise, psychological test, the mental acuity, all of it, right? These are guys that tested through the roof, put up massive numbers in big conferences, 6'5", 240, cannon for an arm, a 49 out of 50, that all the stuff that you wanted. I almost said, just terrible and out of the league in 3 years. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. And you're like, maybe if he hadn't gone to the Texans, gotten the Jesus beaten out of him, he could have started and been a pretty good player.
The Elder Carr is the first name that pops up in my head when you play this.
All the time, right? Who was the kid from Auburn that I used to bring up all the time that I felt so bad for?
Cam Newton?
No. Way back in the day.
Jason Campbell.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That poor bastard took a beating of a lifetime and then just hopped from team to team because he was always in some some sort of middle ground of mental despair and trying to overcome his last ass kicking. And it's just always, you're like, well, good God, Spurrier spread it out 5 wide and didn't have anybody back there to let him. It was crazy the amount of times that guy was put in terrible situations. I don't know. It's easy. Like, you look at Tom Brady, he gets drafted in the 6th round and everybody says from the get-go there was something about him. Maybe that's true. Or maybe it's just that he got to sit a little bit behind Drew. He happened to have arguably the best coach in the game. They had a loaded defense. They could run the football. He wasn't asked to do a lot his first 2 years in the league, and they won a bunch, and he garnered some confidence, and they got some better players around him, and by then he already believed in himself now that he could win. And it changed the course of his entire career because he was brimming with confidence instead of taking an ass beating.
Right. Send him to Tampa as a 4th-round pick instead of New England as a late-round
pick. Right. What happens? Now, you might argue, well, Jeff, he ended up being the greatest quarterback of all time. I think he would have found a way. Perhaps. But I don't know if we know that, man. There are a lot of guys that if you put them in the wrong situation very early in their career, we never get to see what they could be. Others certainly prosper once they get out from under that umbrella. Steve Young with the Bucs famously was obviously not, wasn't elite, didn't do anything special, went to a place that was and became a Hall of Famer. It helped that he had 2 of the greatest receivers of all time, the most innovative coach of all time in Bill Walsh, a running game, the best offensive line, and a stout defense. Oh, Steve Young's magical. I'm not saying Steve Young sucks. He doesn't. It's just the situation matters so greatly. And whenever you watch a guy that comes out in college anymore, like if you liked him in college, you just kind of sure hope he goes to the right place. And some guys are tougher than others mentally too. That's fair.
You just hope that their offensive coordinator doesn't cry at a desk about drafting him over somebody else. You just hope he's not in a situation like that, where the first coach who is going to shepherd him to the professional level acts like a coward and a child at the notion and is retained to still coach the player.
Yeah. No, that wasn't great. The quotes from him weren't great. And because I'll counter, like a lot of times I'll hear myself talking about a player disparagingly who I've ripped beforehand, and then I get the result that I want. They're terrible right away. But I hear the voice in the back of my head going, well, that's a little unfair. He is with the Cardinals. Or, he is with the Texans.
This is why I rooted for Matthew Stafford to win the Super Bowl. The situation he was in.
Yeah. He was always a great player in Detroit. He just was surrounded by garbage.
And he fought through it. A lot of injuries that he played through, too.
He's tough. I like tough guys. Yep.
That did not matter. He could have called it a day for the season and said, you know what, I'll get him next year. We're going to amass 4 wins anyway. What's the difference? Megatron retires on me because our front office sucks. He fought through it, got a chance, and then he nailed it when he had the one chance. He nailed it. That's a really cool career.
Tools were always there. Physical tools were always there. He did have the mental toughness to deal with losing season after losing season and beat down physically.
No running game ever.
Red zone offense was awful all the time. Yeah, no stuff. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Discover the taste of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar.
What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day, and I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se, and I wanted something that tasted good too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels, and also over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. It's athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
Are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of an emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
14 games in a row, set the record, did all that good stuff. The Rays OPS of 896 is 100 points higher than the next best team.
Oh my goodness. They spend $50 on the lineup.
Opponent's OPS against Tampa Bay pitching is 569. That's 60 points lower than the next closest. Going into last night, did they get blanked last night? I didn't see what the final was. Yeah, they got blanked. Okay, so this hasn't changed. They had 48 home runs. That left them clear of the Angels and Dodgers by 5. The third-ranked team is the Braves. They're ahead of them by 13. With 14 home runs allowed, they've yielded the fewest home runs in all of baseball. So they've hit the most, given up the least. We see a trend here with the Rays. They lead Major League Baseball in runs scored, 149. Runs allowed, just 64. Batting average on the first pitch is almost 500. As a team, throw it in the dirt, Johnny. 1-0. We're not giving them anything in the zone. Team ERA going into last night was 2.72.
Is Ronnie Paulino their hitting coach?
Oh, wow. Ronnie Paulino.
500 on the first pitch?
I love it. Ronnie Paulino. They lead Major League Baseball in going from first to third on a single. So now we get into the little things. They'll hit a lot of home runs. They hit for a high average. They strike teams out. Other teams don't hit the ball hard against them. All these numbers lead to that. Then you hear that they lead baseball in going from first to third on a single, which means they can really run. They go.
This is why all these numbers you're citing, when the Mets had a choice about 6 years ago.
For the GM?
Two different general managers. One was the top guy for the Rays, and he wanted more money and more money to work with.
Yeah.
And the other candidate was Robinson Cano's player agent. I thought, you know what, Mets? You're right to go with Robinson Cano's player agent versus whatever it is the Rays do, and they will do in perpetuity.
With no money.
With no money and no fan support.
The Rays are perfect on tag-ups, 23 of 23.
You better be. Come on.
That leads the league.
Well, 100% would.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've committed a grand total of 8 errors. Can you imagine watching a product in which there are only 8 errors through this number of games? Florida State commits that in 2 games. 2 innings.
It's not even funny because it's true.
You could watch the first series of the year and go, well, that's their nation-leading 7th error in 2 games. It's crazy. That does not lead the league. They're 2 behind Kansas City, who only has 6. By the way, your Mets also do not commit a lot of errors. They're on the list of teams that pick up the baseball.
They set a modern era record, 1901 to present, for most games without an infield error to start a season.
Also, your outfield does not commit a lot of errors. Most outfields don't commit a lot of errors. They shouldn't. You shouldn't be a major leaguer out here committing errors in the outfield.
Yeah. Marte had one on opening day. I think that might be it.
It's crazy to think of. I mean, those numbers are nuts, though. 20-4, 14 straight at home before last night. And all those numbers about OPS and lowest OPS, highest OPS, and if you pulled the average fan and said, hey, sit down and watch a Rays game, how many of these guys do you know? Like, well, let's be honest. How many of these dudes do you know? It'd be tough.
Even a diehard fan of a team that might be in a different market.
Or a same division. You would get teams in the AL East to be like, well, yeah, we're well aware. They've been kicking our ass for years.
Old Mauricio over here.
Yeah.
23 years old, been in the bigs for 2 years.
You know what's funny about the other thing about that, just while we're on the subject of the Rays, and obviously I'm a Pirates fan and you're a Mets fan, but we do have fondness for the Rays just because for the region. But like when I watch the Rays, like if the Pirates aren't on at the time and I'll watch the Rays, that's my fallback game. I'll always go to that. And Kevin Cash being there helps too. I love Kevin Cash, and I loved him when he was here. For those that don't know, Kevin Cash was a former player here at Florida State and really good one. and then found a way to have a career in Major League Baseball despite not being able to hit at all. But was defensively really, really good and had a cannon for an arm. But he's kind of a really likable manager. When you watch their post games, he'll make crazy decisions. Now, I know it's based on analytics. I know a lot of it, and it cost him we remember the World Series.
That's correct.
Yeah, there was a moment you could have just played the gut there. Your boy was rolling.
And he was like 50 pitches deep.
Yeah, there was no reason to pull him. It's a toughie. It's one of those times where it's a balancing act. But for the most part, it's clearly worked out. But he'll talk about things where he'll say, yeah, I know we brought up so-and-so today, and, we had an opportunity to play him against a lefty, and then he'll get into the metrics and say all these things. And he's like, I just had a feeling today that so-and-so, guy you've never heard of, hitting 217 on the year with 1 home run and 6 RBIs. I just had a good feeling about him today. Saw him in batting practice, just went ahead and went with him today. I'm like, what the hell? That's insane. He just says it. You're like, well, he did go 3 for 4 with 2 bombs. You're hitting all the right buttons right now.
Kind of like Merrill Hodges' eye test. I did watch some of the clip during the break.
Yeah.
And he's on, and he's asked by Skip Bayless after he goes on a 3-minute comprehensive, even-toned rant. Even-toned.
Oh, no, he stayed calm, yeah.
So you're going to go with bust, which is already kind of funny for comedic timing. And he goes, if he's in the first 3 rounds, he's going to be a bust. He's the guy that you take if you have a compensatory pick in the 5th or the 6th round. If you want to take Johnny Manziel there, go, no problem. 5th or 6th round compensatory. First 3 rounds, he's going to be a bust.
Well, I got to tell you, I wasn't as demonstrative, but you and I were in agreement on old Johnny being terrible.
Absolutely.
I got into an argument about it with our friend Lee DeKemper down there.
Joe Buck's fan was hot for Johnny Clicks, I think, more than they were for Johnny Football.
He was like, I'm questioning Jeff Cameron's one of us. What are you doing? This kid sucks. What are we doing?
I'm questioning your priorities. Do you want wins or do you want clicks?
Yeah.
They ended up getting both in a 5-year span with Jameis followed by Brady. Got a lot of both, mostly with the Brady on the latter category.
I'm fascinated to see what the Jags do. That's a team that's close. If we look at the teams in the state, you think about what they were, how close they were in Kansas City a year ago. They finally got their uniforms right as long as they don't meddle with them. Just go with the black and the white. It looks great. They're kind of a fun team. We both had to confess that the butts are fun. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm not a fan, but I'm excited to see what they do. They're a team that's close, and they played hard in that game. They had a chance. And then listen, the Dolphins are interesting for a lot of reasons. And they're still obviously hanging their hat on Tua, which I will never understand. But
you only have a window, and it's finite in the NFL. And this division just got harder. You could say that Aaron Rodgers can be an experiment that mirrors the Brett Favre experiment, which is, But those 2 games against the Jets are now empirically more difficult. So you have that, mix it in with the Bills.
Bills, yeah.
Come on, man. This division's tough.
It's a tough division. Really tough division. I mean, when they keep Tua upright, he does put up decent numbers. It's just that he's rarely upright, and when he does get hit, he's nearly decapitated. It's like, well, he just got hit. He's gone for the next 9 weeks. I understand that we're now in an era where guys that aren't prototypical can succeed, and I love that we are. See Jalen Hurts. We've now come a long way in the NFL where you don't have to run just a pro-style offense and do those things. You can be a lot of things and find a way to win games. But one thing is, always going to be true. You can't be brittle, and you can't be sustaining big hits if you're 200 pounds, 6 feet tall. It just can't happen. I mean, you're going to break. Those dudes are huge. And I kind of feel for the guy because he is tough. He battles. They could have been sued, rolling his ass back out there after that vicious concussion, and then seeing him stumble over the lot the next time it happened a short time later. I thought, man, retire. Get them to cut you a huge check, severance to avoid being sued. Take your money and call it a day, man. Go live your life. You had a great career in college. Everybody understands you were tough. You were pretty good from a talent standpoint. You just weren't big enough or strong enough for a league that is gladiatorial, and you've had your head knocked off and your hip ripped off and everything else. Your ankle sucks too. You got problems all over the place. Call it a day, man.
Compensatory run.
It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Gene Sanders is set to serve as the next fire chief for the city of Tallahassee. Sanders, who is a Tallahassee native with more than 25 years of service with Tallahassee Fire Department, will officially begin serving the appointed position May 20th. Sanders currently serves as Deputy Chief of Operations, overseeing daily operations of TFD, Emergency Medical Services, and Training Divisions. The city says Sanders also oversees Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 7 and Hazardous Materials Task Force 2, serving as Program Coordinator for the State Homeland Security Grant Program and as the Region 2 Coordinator for the statewide emergency response plan. The Leon County Sheriff's Office is warning of the risk of fentanyl-suspected overdoses. The warning comes after the Sheriff's Office responded to 5 separate incidents since March 31st. Deputies say 7 patients in those incidents believed they were taking oxycodone or Percocet pills. None of the overdoses were fatal. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Highs around 86. Winds out of the east 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows level off around 63. Chance for scattered storms tomorrow. Highs around 84. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 84.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My bad, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. Well, you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Adam Rittenberg. This will just put a smile on your face, is why I wanted to revisit it, because it reminds you of how far we've come. And he's right about this. Quote, after languishing for several years during the Willie Taggart, Mike Norvell transition, you could say the transition from Jimbo, which his last year was a nightmare, to Willie, that short period of time, which was filled with nightmares. And then Mike and his transition, nothing but nightmares until last year. Just nightmares every which way. FSU's defense took a significant step forward in 2022. The Noles led the ACC in yards allowed, finished third in points allowed, ranked in the top 20 nationally in both those categories. They returned many of their top players this season, including defensive end Jared Verse, the Albany transfer who earned first-team All-ACC honors after recording 9 sacks and 17 tackles for a loss in his first season with FSU. He leads a line that should continue to ascend brings up Patrick Payton, back after a 5-sack season, along with veteran interior linemen Fabian Lovett, Dennis Briggs, and Malcolm Ray. Florida State added defensive tackle transfers Braden Fisk and Daryl Jackson. Massive body at 6'5", 326 pounds. The coaches think could make a seismic impact. Along with Peyton, sophomore Joshua Farmer should help for the next few seasons after recording 6 tackles for loss in 2022. Senior linebackers Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach lead the linebackers after combining for 149 tackles, 6 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups. He notes Lundy brings more experience and production, although FSU will need to fill some gaps in 2024 and 2025 with a guy like Omar Graham. Others, Jamie Robinson will certainly be missed at safety, but FSU boasts a good group of holdovers from last year's team. So I think that's a pretty fair assessment of the defense. We don't know now, again, if Farmer's going to be part of that, but he was right to at least note. I'm still waiting to see if he actually enters his name into the transfer portal or not. Hopeful that he doesn't. I think there's a chance that he doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't. So at this point,
It's also worth noting that, too, as of 2:45 today, he's still on the roster on Seminoles.com. Now, they have a procedure that they follow. I think it has to do with compliance portal and so forth before the name comes off. But this is my unofficial guess. If they're done with a guy, they don't wait for that process and they just remove him. So I think that would indicate that there is a bit more health between the conversing sides.
well, what I will tell you, Tom, and I do know this to be the case, so I don't mind sharing this, and I don't think it does anything in terms of impacting whatever conversation they're having in a negative or positive light. This is just me talking out loud about something I know to be true. This was not a situation in which Josh Farmer was announcing on Twitter that he was going to potentially going to put his name in the portal, born out of an acrimonious relationship. This was not that. There are players, I said it in the first hour for those that missed it, there are players that the second you hear that their name is being entered into the portal, you go, yep, they were done with each other. The coaching staff was done with him, and he was done with them, and this isn't going to get rectified. He is gone. And then there are guys that you are truly surprised to hear, and then there's some that are kind of in between. You're like, I never really knew there was a problem. I wonder what's going to come out after this is over. What was the deal there? Was it academics? Was he homesick? Was it a problem? You don't really know. But this was not an acrimonious situation. This was something different, and it's why, again, yesterday we said, this isn't over. Hang in there on this one, guys. We want to let this play out before you assume anything. Not saying he's not going to go. Not saying he's not going to, end up doing what we don't want him to do, but I am saying it's not over yet. So hang in there. And I continue to do that because they are better. They are 100% much better with him than without him. So you can hope like hell that tonight we still hear nothing. And then tomorrow when we're doing the show and we're talking about the NFL draft and all the other fun stuff for tomorrow, we're going, hey, he's still not in the portal. Don't you think it stands to reason to me, the longer this goes on, the more likely it is that he stays? I mean, it seems like if we get 48 hours beyond the announcement at that point, you'd say, I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, that means that whatever decision is made is going to be made with as level of a head as possible. And say the quiet part out loud. If somebody came to Josh Farmer with an absurd offer that you couldn't possibly give to him because it resets the market within your own structure, then you have to let him go. But here's the other quiet part. If he already had that offer and it was firm and validated, I think he'd be in the portal by now and taking that offer. If it was worlds better, if you could triple, quadruple your NIL income at a different institution, you wouldn't wait and see for a day or two. You'd just go, I think.
Well, you'd certainly present it to those that you're already in business with and say, hey, I have this opportunity.
Of course,
Yeah.
but and I think we've already implied that this is one of the whispers that's been around for a little while with Farmer. So when he tweets it, I feel like they've already had preliminary discussions. It's not a surprise to the staff or the collective where they go, oh my God, wait a minute, what? Get him on the phone now. I think there were discussions that preceded that social media post.
Yeah, I just think it's a nuanced discussion with him as opposed to some other guys. Sometimes, like let's say there's another guy that comes down the pike here soon and he says, I'm leaving and maybe we know that is something where they have a knockout offer, and it is all about money. Well, I'll say that when the time is right, but I don't feel like that's what this is. So this is just one of those,
right?
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm approaching it from the other side.
No,
if
no,
it was,
I get it. I get it.
And if he got a knockout offer, he would be gone. You wouldn't. This wouldn't be like a little song and dance about is he in the portal yet, or is he off the roster on the website or yet? It would already be done.
Yep. Every hour that goes by, buddy, hang in there. Come on, Josh. I know you loved our conversation, buddy. It was only the last 30 seconds that I asked about the teeth.
That sent him into the portal. If he makes it there,
he would have gone to the portal long before now. That interview was over a week ago. He's good to go. Power Mill Training Academy equips, motivates athletes focused on baseball and softball, and they help provide the tools for those that do those particular sports, softball or baseball, to reach their true potential and have fun playing the game. You know, not everybody wants to be a pro baseball player or Olympic softball player. Some do, and they can help those players as well as all those that are like your little kids that are just going to be pretty good little leaguers. Nothing more. Pretty good little leaguers, but they want to have the tools to succeed. Power Mill will help provide that. They've got camps, softball, baseball, a lot of opportunities to teach your young guy or gal how to play the game they love.
I'm waiting to be a guest instructor at Power Mill for how to get hit by pitches and get on base that way. I'm waiting for the call, guys. I know how to do it.
Will that flashback do damage to your psyche? Have ramifications beyond that day in which you're teaching?
Okay, kids, here's what you need to do.
Cue it up, baby. Let's go. Let's do these probables.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
A lot of day baseball games. Rangers Reds are going on right now. It's 3-2 Cincinnati. By the way, the Rangers bullpen is nightmarish. That was John Gray, Graham Ashcroft. We got Boston, Baltimore. Baltimore leads that game in the 6th, 4-2. Tanner Houck and Tyler Wells. Toronto 4-0 over the White Sox in the 6th inning. Michael Kopech and Yusakaguchi. 3-1. Cleveland leads Colorado. The Rockies through Herman Marquez. Tanner Bibby goes for the Guardians. I like that name. Yankees are killing the Twins right after losing the season series. They're up 11-3 in that game in the 6th. Domingo Herman and Kintameda, your starters there. Detroit trails Milwaukee 5-2 in the 4th. That's Michael Lorenzen and Freddie Peralta. Tonight, Royals, D-backs, Ryan Yarbrough, Zach Gallen, Dodgers, Pirates. My Buccos were up 7-2 last night over the Dodgers and lost 8-7.
No.
Pissed me off. Tony Gonsolin goes for the Dodgers. Roansy Contreras goes for the Pirates. He's been really good.
Hey, what about the extension for Reynolds?
I know.
Good for you.
I just can't talk about these things. It's a lot of weird things going on here.
The first $100 million contract in 30 years given out by the Pirates.
We didn't give Kutch.
No. Kevin Brown was the last one that exceeded, for the terms of the contract, $100 million.
Astros, Rays, Hunter Brown, Calvin Fokker. That's his name.
No way.
Yeah. He may say Foucher. Mariners, Phillies, Logan Gilbert, Tawan Walker, Nationals, Mets, Mackenzie Gore, and your guy Senga.
Kodai Senga.
Yeah, you love him. It's on the hill tonight.
Senga-san.
Marlins, Braves, Sandy Alcantara, and Bryce Elder. We've got Alcantara is what they say, but I say Alcantara.
It's
more
way
fun.
better.
Way better.
That's way better.
Yeah. Padres, Cubs, Michael Waka, Drew Smiley, A's, Angels, Luis Medina, Patrick Sandoval, and finally, Cards, Giants, Steven Matz and Anthony DeScalfini. You'd have to look at those that showers out of the bum. I could not do that, P. Simpson, but I can do it off the air.
That sounds like a great bit. We just call Ingram on the spot, battle's end, say, so what do you think?
A lot of people involved in all of that, so I'm not gonna do that to him. But yeah, no, we're good to go here. I feel good about things. I again woke up this morning. First thing I did was check and see, did he actually submit his name in the portal? When he didn't, I went, oh, feeling pretty good here. Sent out a few texts to get further confirmation in hopes that I was right about that, and I was not dissatisfied with the answers to those texts. So I was pretty pleased. Nothing changed on my way into the office either.
the primary concern is 2023. I understand this. This is a roster that is built to win this year and maybe take some lumps the following year or not. It could exceed
We're not
expectations.
taking any damn lumps the next year. No lumps.
But I have a secondary concern tied to the Farmer situation, which is don't back down, Battle's End, if this is what it's coming down to. Don't back down. Because if you allow a backup defensive tackle or a rotational, let's just be kind, a rotational defensive tackle who's a good player to help reset the market, then, I mean, we're screwed.
But I think they know that.
They know. But that's a concern of mine. You know, I just hope that there isn't a release in a day or two that says we've reached new terms. Like, don't.
Well, yeah, and even if it was something that they had to do, which I don't know, and that I don't know, guys. But even if it was, I don't think that's how they would phrase it. You're right. That's a bad look publicly.
You just can't be resetting your own word and
Well,
your own rules.
incessantly, you know. I mean, like you get guys every day. I mean, this is true all over the country with these situations with collectives. Players come in, they get this, and they, 6 months later, I'd like more. I'm sure you would.
They know that, but then you actually get to the decision point, and it's like, don't do it. Yeah. Damn you.
Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.